the Saints. And that is 4 times, 1 for the introduction. I know. Oh, get up there. I'm gonna.
And we don't go past A.
Huh?
We don't go past A.
No, don't go past A.
Don't collect $2,200. Condescending.
Please join us in singing the school hymn for all the saints, the lyrics of which are found on the back of your program. Let us pray. O eternal God, bless all schools, colleges, and universities, and especially Trinity-Pawling School, that they may be lively centers for sound learning, new discovery, and the pursuit of wisdom. And grant that those who teach and those who learn may find you to be the source of all truth through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Lord God, we ask for your generous hand to be upon all those who graduate today. Bless their lives from this day on with goodness and love. Help them to stay true to their dreams, to use their gifts wisely, and to walk into the future with faith, hope, and great love. Amen. O Spirit of life, wonderful counselor, let your presence in our midst make this school a fountain of wholesome activity and true knowledge. To her trustees, grant timely wisdom. To her teachers, the gift of inspiration. And to her students, a questing spirit, that soundness of learning, loftiness of character, and a capacity for gallant living may be furthered in this place from generation to generation through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Please be seated.
Well, welcome everybody on this rather rainy day, but this joyous celebration of the class of 2026. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and the faculty and staff of Trinity-Pawling, I would like to welcome you to these commencement exercises. A couple of housekeeping details. First, restrooms are located in the Dan Building in Cluett through that entrance, or in Gardner Theater. Secondly, we have a professional photographer here, and If you would like to take your own pictures, we've got a roped off area for when the diplomas are conferred. If you are taking pictures, we just ask that you not be in the aisles blocking views. We have bottles of water on ice should you need any refreshments during the ceremony. On this Memorial Day weekend, we honor all those who have lost their lives in defense of this nation, as well as everyone who has served this nation in the military. We thank you for your service to our country. As these young men have heard me say before, today's event celebrates their graduation from Trinity-Pawling, yet as a ceremony, it's a commencement, a beginning of the next chapter of their lives. Now, we wouldn't be here if it were not for the dedication, stamina, wisdom of the men and women sitting behind me today and those who are working behind the scenes right now to make this ceremony happen. They have led this charge and have pulled us through to this day. I would also like to recognize our outstanding facility staff who have been working hard to make this day a reality. Please join me in saluting the faculty, staff, and the facilities crew of Trinity-Pawling. I'd like to acknowledge the Board of Trustees for their leadership and commitment to the school. Leadership matters, and the quality that separates great schools from good schools is really their board leadership. This board has vision, passion, and most of all, a deep and collective commitment to the well-being of each boy at Trinity-Pawling. To the parents who have entrusted your sons to the care of this school, we thank you. Your faith and commitment to the school is something that we never take for granted and for which we are ever grateful. I ask the faculty in the class of 2026 to join me in giving the parents and grandparents here a round of applause for your partnership. And last but not least, to the class of 2026, thank you for your commitment to the school and for your dedication to one another. You're gathered here this morning as a single entity. Sadly, though, this is the last time that this group will gather together as a single entity, so enjoy the celebration together. As alumni, each of you will be ambassadors for the group as a whole. I challenge you to stay connected with one another and this space. Hopefully this school and its campus will hold a special place in your heart and your memory. As your lives grow older and busier and your responsibilities greater, your time at Trinity-Pawling will stand out as that time on that journey where you were young and where you began to figure out who you are and who you are becoming. As I've said many times, you represent 0.5% of the American school-age population who have the opportunity to attend a prep school like this. You have had tremendous opportunities because you've been at this school, but you've also had tremendous responsibilities at the same time. And it has not all been easy, and in a short time you will receive your diploma and become an alumnus of this school. Now, when I was in Asia last month, I made a couple of very interesting observations that have made me think a great deal about what it means to be in this space and what it's like to leave here. At a reception for alumni and parents in Seoul, Korea, I was speaking with some alumni from the 1990s and the early 2000s. And of the group of about 20 alumni gathered for this reception, perhaps only 3 or 4 overlapped together on campus at the same time. Despite this fact, however, their reminiscing of memories was something that they could all share together, regardless of their age. Often there were memories of teachers that connected a graduate from 1993 to a graduate from 2002. For all of them, there was the effort system, now known as the effort challenge, that they all had in common. Because they were boys then and men now, they talked a great deal about food, and this was a topic of common understanding. Proving its immense attraction or detraction across the decades and continents, Mongolian beef at the dining hall drew considerable commentary, as did the Boston cream pie. Now, when someone mentioned Mama's Pizza, however, everybody got focused and excited. It was clear that everybody loved Mama's Pizza, which is now known as Village Pizza. While they were pleased that there was still a pizza place there, they were disappointed to learn that their pizza place was no longer. A couple of days later, I was in Hong Kong, and a 2007 graduate also brought up Mama's Pizza and how much he missed it, and how he too was disappointed that it didn't exist anymore. And it didn't matter that there was another pizza place there, Mama's wasn't there. A few days after that, I was in a couple different cities in mainland China, and something strange happened. More recent graduates of Trinity-Pawling who now live in China, who graduated within the last 10 years, asked me about things at the school, and they said, "Is Village Pizza still there?" When they learned that it was still serving pizza, they were happy, and they talked about how much they loved the pizza, and they were still divided on the Mongolian beef, however. Then I went to Japan to meet with more alumni. This was a group that had alumni from the early 1990s until maybe the last 8 years. And so they also talked about pizza. And half of them talked about Mama's Pizza, and the other half talked about Village Pizza. Of course, the advocates of Mama's didn't care much for the Village Pizza folks, and the Village People folks had no idea what the Mama's Pizza folks were talking about. Each was convinced that their pizza was best. Now, to connect one last data point, and I'm not making any of this up. I was back here watching a lacrosse game, and a 2021 grad was back on campus for the first time since he graduated. He said he loved being back, but he had to get here early before the lacrosse game so he could go to Village Pizza and get some pizza. Now, during the combined 24 years that I've lived at Trinity-Pawling and lived in the village of Pawling, there have always been 2 pizza places in Pawling. There are still 2 pizza places in Pawling, or in the village, that is. But Trinity-Pawling students have always gone really to one more than the other. They've either gone to Mama's or Village, which alternatively have occupied the same space for over 30 years. Why, you might rightly ask, am I talking about pizza? Because it's not really about the pizza. I lived in New Haven, Connecticut for 2 years, which in my opinion has the best pizza in the Northeast, including New York City. So I know great pizza. And while I have had pizza from both Mama's and Village, I can attest that the pizza alone is not drawing everyone back there. It's the space. It's the space where alumni went with their friends. It's the space where they went on their own during their free time and enjoyed time together. It's the space where they told stories, they traded insults, they joked about teachers, and complained about the various injustices of the school. It's the space where the friendships of adolescence are captured and eternalized for a lifetime. The pizza was always the reason to go to the space, but it's the space where the memories live. People leave spaces wrote the educator and social commentator Hamilton Wilson. But the spaces retain the memories and the youth of those who have left them. Anyone who's spent any time in schools watching young people go and come over the years can appreciate the wisdom of that quote. I was reminded of this when I saw so many of you playing hacky sack this spring, something that was probably more popular this spring than it was in the 80s and 90s when everybody was playing it in this space too. Last week, I received a rather thick envelope in the mail with a return address that was unfamiliar. I always open such envelopes with some degree of trepidation because history has taught me that sometimes their contents can be unpredictable. In this case, though, I was pleasantly surprised. The letter was from the son of a 1926 graduate of the Pawling School who wrote in his cover letter that he thought I might enjoy learning something about his father, Henry Ernst Obermans, who had been the valedictorian of the class of 1926, 100 years ago. His name is on the wooden board outside of the library that soon will also include Luca's name. The son wrote that his father came to Pawling from Erie, Pennsylvania for the last 2 years of high school, and that he encountered many challenges, most of which were academically related because of his relatively modest performance in public school before coming to prep school. It was at the Pawling School where his father learned how to be a student because of the faculty and the overall environment that challenged him to work hard and see his inherent potential, something that had eluded him before his 2 years at Pawling. From Pawling, his father went on to Yale University, and from Yale he went on to receive his PhD in engineering. He served the nation in the Army and the OSS during World War II, and then to a lengthy, successful career in business. Enclosed in the envelope was an excerpt from an autobiographical memoir that his father wrote about the challenges and impact of his years at the Pawling School. It described the layout of Cluett as it existed in the 1920s, including the location on the first floor of Cluett where Dr. Gamage had his residence before Gamage House was built. It's essentially where the Pawling room, Mr. Collins' office, Mr. Keel's office, and Miss Erickson's offices all are today. It described the tight quarters of the rooms in Cluett. If you know the rooms in Cluett too, those were all doubles. You can imagine that. It described some of his classmates, some by name, and some who were unkind to him, including one that he very gleefully pointed out that he beat to be the valedictorian. It described others who helped him grow, and it described his teachers, some of whom made a difference, and some of them, sadly, who did not. What was remarkable about the memoir is that his memories were relayed not in the voice of a PhD graduate or a Yale graduate, but with the voice of a teenage boy. He commented about 3 of his teachers specifically. Each of the 3 teachers he brought up are like historically revered teachers at this school. They each have awards named after them that you'll hear today. They were probably, though, in the later years of their careers when they taught Mr. Obermans. He recounted some idiosyncrasies of 2 of them, observations that would likely only be made from the eyes of a scrutinizing teenage boy. Another teacher, he remarked, pushed him in ways that he didn't like at the time. And it wasn't until after he got to Yale that he realized that that teacher really believed in him and pushed him toward his full potential. Though those memories were written down in 1971, and were formed in the mid-1920s. They're not far removed from the memories that you all have and the memories that you will take away with you today. People leave spaces, but the spaces retain the memories and the youth of those who have left them. Each of you has grown in meaningful ways during your years here. Hopefully, many of you will leave here with a deeper awareness of what makes you distinctive, what makes you you. Hopefully, with a sense of your emerging gifts and talents. Hopefully, you will leave here with memories and a bond that will last a lifetime. But know this too, these memories will also be left here when you come back to this place, or perhaps to Village Pizza. You'll revisit these memories that are retained here in these spaces. 2 weeks ago, a graduate from the class of 1969 returned to campus for a tour with his 2 daughters. One of his daughters pulled me aside and he said, you know, my dad is suffering from Alzheimer's and he's losing his memory. And we wanted to bring him back here one last time so we could relive some of the memories that are here. I watched his face light up in the halls of Cluett, clearly remembering things that he hadn't remembered in decades. He saw the New York Times article that's posted on the wall outside or down the hall from my office. That article, if you've ever noticed it, is of a lacrosse game that took place here in 1994. It was between the 1969 Trinity-Pawling team and the 1969 Andover team, because they never got to play the championship game in 1969 that would have decided the New England championship. For whatever reason, it didn't get played. And so, as men in their 40s in 1994, members of those 2 teams came back. And this gentleman was on the Trinity-Pawling 1969 team. And I never realized this. He looked at that picture, and there's a picture of a guy stretching out before the game, and that was him. He pulled my arm because that's me. And then he began to remember every single player on the 1969 team by name and position. Memories that had been trapped, memories that were coming out of a mind that was slowly losing touch with his memories, but because he was here, those memories came alive again. People leave spaces, but the spaces retain the memories and the youth of those who have left them. So I challenge you all to come back to this space later in your life. Come back for reunions. Stop by when you're in the area. Revisit the memories you have left here and let them come alive for you again. But I also want to challenge you to stay connected with each other and make a commitment to come back with others, because those memories are richer when you can share them with other people. You will never be back here as a full class again. But when some of you are back here, or 20 of you are back here, you all will be back here again, because the memories are based here. And when you're here, maybe go down and get some pizza at the Village Pizza or whatever it's called then. There will be a pizza place there, I guarantee it. Despite the depth of your friendships you had with one another while you were students, you will always be part of the class of 2026. Stay connected to each other, stay connected as a class, and stay connected to this space. Your lives will be richer as a result, I promise you. And now I'd like to introduce one of our 2 student bands that will be playing. This is a band that has been given the title Men at School. I'm told they don't like that title, but it'll become clear to some of us why they've been given that title in a moment.
outside. Don't come in. I'll only run and hide. Who can it be now? 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 Can it be knocking at my door? Make no sound. Tiptoe across the floor. If he hears, he'll knock all day. I'll be trapped, and here I'll have to stay. I've done no harm, I keep to myself. There's nothing wrong with my state of mental health. I like it here with my childhood friend. Living on those feelings again. Who can it be now? 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 Is it the men come to take me away? Why do they follow me? It's not the future that I can see. It's just my fantasy.
This year's head prefect is a young man who has grown in immeasurable ways during his 3 years at Trinity-Pawling. In many ways, he personifies the leadership style of servant leadership. Whether it has been as a proctor, on the athletic field, in the classroom, or in his role this year as head prefect, Artie has been a constant presence. He is a welcoming, engaging personality that is guided by a commitment to thoughtfulness, care, and a deep love for the school and the brotherhood of the students. In my childhood, there was a television commercial touting the insight of a financial brokerage firm of E.F. Hutton. The commercials featured various social gatherings in which one person begins to give financial advice to another person in the midst of a crowd. When the person begins to speak, the entire room goes silent, and the commercial's tagline is delivered in a deep baritone voice: "When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen." Well, at Trinity-Pawling, when Arthur Figueredo speaks, people listen. One student remarked that Artie's door is always open, and at any time you can go in and just talk things out. Another student new to the school this year spoke about Artie's leadership and said, "He really helped me realize the beauty of community here just by talking to me." Artie's leadership taught me the importance of empathy and compassion, he said. I think this is really important because if the people you lead feel heard and helped, they will want to follow and contribute more. I want to be this type of leader next year. There are many different ways to lead, but Arthur channels his leadership through the strengths that he has been developing his entire life: compassion, thoughtfulness, empathy, and integrity. And Artie, through these characteristics and your leadership, the school has been strengthened. I challenge you to keep honing these leadership characteristics, look for them in others, and continue to learn from them as you continue to grow. It's my pleasure to present the McCollum Award to the head prefect of the class of 2026, Arthur Figueredo.
Give me a second here. Good morning to Mr. Olstein, Mr. Taylor, members of the Board of Trustees, members of the faculty, parents, guests, and especially the class of 2026. Where do I begin? That's the question I've been asking myself for the last 364 days. That's how long it's been since I listened to Kwaku Arthur Mensa's talk from last year. And it was the best speech I've ever heard. Ever since then, I've been trying to figure out how I could possibly stand up here and explain what Trinity-Pawling is. I still don't think I can do that. You can describe the campus, talk about the sports, the classes, the traditions, the opportunities. You could explain the schedules, the dress codes, the dorms, the effort grades. But none of those things really capture what this place is. Especially for the people sitting out there today who haven't lived it. Families, you guys have heard stories. You heard us talk about our lives here at TP so often, you might feel like you know it yourselves. But the truth is, it's almost impossible to fully explain this place until you've actually been a part of this community. Because what makes it so special isn't one big thing. It's a million small things. Most of the time, you don't even realize they're happening until years later. You don't realize you'll miss things until you actually have to say goodbye to them. The first thing you don't realize you're going to miss is how loud everything is at an all-boys school. But now reflecting on it, the loudness is part of the reason why I chose this place. During my tour, I was silent. I let my tour guides Nick Hios, Troy Rapace, and Coach Doyle lead the way around campus, asking no questions. But I remember noticing the way they treat each other and how the brotherhood was everywhere. People held doors, greeted each other by name, and Nick and Troy were proud to call TP their home. They were loud, happy, and ready to talk to anyone. I see this everywhere now. In the dorms, the boys are always having a good time. During our shared free period, AJ Del Carmine would be blasting music on one of the biggest speakers I've ever seen. If I wasn't singing along, I would be texting AJ asking for the name of the song because his music taste is truly peak. Or when you have guys like Chase Rose running around down the hallways, usually screaming about absolute gibberish or in a goofy voice. And most of the time, you can only tell it was him by his footsteps because he did it so often. Then you'd have Doc Manigo, yelling at him from the lounge to quiet down because it was study hall. While the noise of living here with hundreds of teenage boys can be a lot at times, Mr. Taylor said it best at the beginning of the year. This place has no life without the energy we bring in with us. Another thing I didn't realize I'd miss is being outside on campus. The beautiful scenery of the mountains and the sunsets every day. The gorgeous northern lights that floated over our campus multiple times. The boys playing spike ball, hacky sack, or whatever floated our boats on the quad. Speaking of floating boats, I'm reminded of our rising senior leadership training where we were tasked with making handmade canoes out of a couple pieces of wood, a roll of saran wrap, some duct tape, and a dream of rowing the boat around the Fallon and back down at the pond. Solomon Rossi had the genius idea of making saran wrap buoy balls that we all knew wouldn't work. However, we still let it happen. Once we got down to the pond, Solomon, Bohan, Avi, Marcos, and I were all bickering about who had to go in the water. Me being the newly appointed leader felt like I had to step up. And let me tell you that I couldn't even step a foot into that thing. While I slowly got out of this boat that was capsizing towards the bottom of the pond, buoys and all, I watched the other four groups float ahead in a competitive race. This feeling was equivalent to having 4 flat tires in a NASCAR race. As discouraged as we felt, we were still able to get a good laugh out of it. The third thing I'll miss most about being at TP is being on dorm. Life in a dorm is hard to adjust to at first. I remember when I first moved in for my first preseason. Everything was great for the first 2 weeks. Preseason is when campus feels like summer camp. Sports, no classes, hanging out with friends, staying up way too late. I loved it here. Then, when classes started up, I hit my first roadblock. I started constantly falling asleep in class. I would stay up later than I should. I would stay up later than I should have with my roommates and our friends. And eventually, my roommate Anderson Reed and I realized we probably shouldn't keep living together if we wanted to survive the school year. We stayed close friends, but I ended up moving upstairs with Everett Hand. Everett and I grew up together, but we were never close. Honestly, I was nervous moving in with him because he always seemed like a cooler kid than I was growing up. But living together changed that, and I'm so grateful for it. We helped each other grow. This year, our triple in Barstow made Alex Cruz, Cole Jennings, and me closer than ever. They are a big part of why this place feels like a home. Another big part of that is the dorm parents and how they go above and beyond to help us with everything we need. This year, Mr. and Mrs. Frost hosted a bunch of events celebrating birthdays, dorm cookouts, and much more. Ms. Naiman always brings us some tasty treats like cookies and her famous banana bread. And then there's Doc, who is just himself with his pillow and his blanket, all cuddly on the beanbag, usually yelling at the TV about the Bruins. Then there was Dorm Olympics. For one who isn't competing, the competitiveness and the testosterone that filled that gym can get a little scary at times, but the fun we had was unmatched. The fourth thing I'll miss the most is the comfort of being here at an all-boys school. The option of being able to roll out of bed quickly, get dressed, brush my teeth, and make it to chapel 2 minutes before it started, and not caring how I look because there are no girls to impress. That's definitely a huge benefit. But the people here like Belinda in the dining hall, who's always so welcoming, no matter how early it is, she's always putting a smile on our faces. Mrs. Berlandi, who has seen me at my very worst, but also at my best, no matter what rush she's in, she's always checking up on me and hearing about all the good and bad things that I've been experiencing. Or if it was Luke Santabrino, who took me under his wing last year by checking up on me, or just being a friendly face when times were rough. Or if it was Mrs. Frost, Mrs. Gran, or Miss Moore letting me visit and hang out in their classrooms during free periods. Or if it was Doc Mandigo again, teasing me or cracking jokes during class. Or Mrs. Head, when I would constantly visit her to pick up the million packages that I would order. And this is what the TP community is about. None of these moments were huge on their own, but when they were put together, they were what made this place a home. While making us feel comfortable is one of the faculty's main goals here, the other is pushing us out of our comfort zones. And the fifth thing I'll miss is how often we're challenged to try new things here. I did a play, coached middle school basketball, never again, and got to do the things that I never thought I'd be able to do. I was able to go on an awesome South Africa trip to Cape Town and Kruger. On this trip, we tackled the beast that was Table Mountain, a 3-hour hike up a rocky uphill mountain in blazing African heat with no water. Michael Savage, who some would say is one of the better athletes in the Founders League on Table Mountain, proceeded to throw up after he swore to Mr. Mead and Coach Cricaldi that he was in perfect shape for lacrosse season. As easy as it is to stand up here right now and give Mike a tough time, I will say it was 100% the most humbling experience that I've ever had. So, we got to try a lot of new things on that trip, and I'm a better person for it. Something that I'm a big believer in is that meeting and getting to know new people makes you a better person. The sixth thing that I'll miss is how quickly you can make connections with the people here. Everyone is so genuine, and despite our backgrounds, we all have at least one thing in common. We chose Trinity-Pawling. It's cool to see how strong some of the connections you can make in such a short time. I made strong connections to the hockey team with postgraduates like Liam Joyce and Peter Winkowski, or Alex Gendris during baseball season, who joined us in the winter, but barely came to school because he was always doing MLB draft workouts. But he turned out to be a great teammate and someone I'll definitely remember while looking back on my time here. Mike McKenna, he's an awesome guy with whom I was able to build a strong connection through AP Environmental Science with Mr. Weber. A few weeks ago, in that same AP Environmental class, we asked Mr. Weber, what is your favorite part about teaching? He said, seeing the students' growth. After hearing that, I started asking other teachers the same question, and almost every single one gave the same answer, growth. And that brings me to the final thing that I'll miss about this place, how profoundly and quietly people can grow at TP. When Avi Meltzer first got to TP, he would usually be in my room asking for homework help or asking if I had any snacks. As Avi mentioned in his chapel talk this spring, he also had a really tough time at first. He was skipping commitments, not doing his homework, leaving campus for wrestling practice without permission, and he mentally wasn't where his feet were. He was stuck with his friends from his old school, and he believed that he wasn't supposed to be here at TP. Throughout the year, Avi slowly started to commit to the community more. I did my best to help him out by studying with him, but he was starting to make it to his obligations on time more. His grades were going up, and he was hanging out with us in the dorms more. Avi's now getting ready to wrestle at Wesleyan. James Colburn, he also had a tough time. He wasn't getting his work done, skipping classes, and when he made it to class, he was falling asleep on purpose. After a decent amount of time in effort group 4 and mandatory study hall almost every night, my roommate Everett and I decided that we needed to help James out. The three of us started going to breakfast together, studying, and sticking together as a trio. We started keeping each other accountable for everything we were doing, and eventually, James was out of the 4th effort group and into the 2nd. All of our grades and effort scores went up tremendously as well. We started realizing what this place can do when people genuinely care and look out for each other. James is getting ready to begin school at Mass Maritime. Zach Marching. He had a season-ending knee injury his junior year. Hockey was all Zach known throughout his time here at TP, and when it was taken away from him, he was lost. However, instead of choosing to be miserable, he taught himself how to play the guitar entirely on his own. He's now one of the best guitarists at the school and regularly performs on the stage at the rock concerts. He's our very own blonde Ozzy Osbourne. This dude did the most impressive thing I've ever seen by playing the Crazy Train guitar solo, breaking a string, and still continuing to play by quickly moving it out of the way like nothing happened. Keep up the good work, Zach. When Jake Wickshead started school here as a freshman, he was quiet, shy, and behind the scenes. He did everything he could to fly under the radar. Now, he runs the lighting in the theater pretty much entirely on his own, and he even found himself on stage a few times in his career. On our trip in South Africa, I was able to truly meet Jake, and he's one of the funniest people I've gotten to know. He's getting ready to start at Skidmore College in the fall. When living in the middle school dorm last year, as the proctor, I constantly received visits from my good friends Ronan and Corey. Usually these two would come to use my cupping therapy set, but they would also come with a lot of questions on girl advice. When I mean a lot, I mean a lot. Usually from Ronan, but still, it was a lot. After a lot of work on themselves, these two were able to push the girls off to the side and lock it in. Corey will be studying at Bucknell, and Ronan will be playing lacrosse at Stony Brook next fall. Now for me, as a new student here, I was a little nervous to create my identity. At my old school, I was a popular athlete that everyone acted like they loved. However, over time, I realized that only a couple of those people were truly my friends. People would always talk behind my back after I left, and I was constantly feeling down. While being here, I realized that it doesn't matter what people think of you. You have to continue on with your life and do what you do. You have to continue on with your life and do what you do the way you believe is correct. You only live once. My best friend Mason taught me this, and it's an important lesson that I will carry with me forever. Just be yourself. You never know when your last day will be. So wake up every day with the mindset of, it's a great day to be alive. Someone out there will appreciate you and the things you do. This mindset allowed me to explore an interest of mine that was beyond athletics. Filming and editing videos is now one of my favorite things to do. Shout out Ms. Rafferty and her Trinity-Pawling Sports Nation class that helped me get the ball rolling. I'm now planning on pursuing videography into college and hopefully after as well. Gifts and talents aren't just something that Mr. Taylor preaches. As time goes on, our gifts were revealed in one way or another, whether it's Dom's marathon, Shun's art, Kai's writing in the Phoenix, Carl on the saxophone, or Axel and Jameson's public speaking. I could go on and on pointing to each guy in front of me, explaining his growth and how he helps make this place special. And that's why, when reflecting on the question, what will you miss about TP? This is my answer. Everything I said today is what I'm going to miss. Now, younger guys, listen up. My advice to you is to take advantage of all the opportunities you have here. Be mentally where your feet are, appreciate everything, don't take anything for granted, and when it's your turn to be sitting in these seats, I hope that you have no regrets. Your time is limited here, and it'll only start going by quicker. Don't let it slip through your hands. Now for the class of 2026. This might be the last time we're all gathered here together. I'm hoping you have no regrets today. As you move forward in your life, use the skills that you learn here to succeed. Stay in touch. You may not notice it now, but one day you will realize what this place truly did for you and how special it truly is. And to quote Jameson's grandparents from his most recent chapel talk, go and make the world a better place. I know you will. Thank you, Trinity-Pawling, for everything you've done for me. Roll Pride forever.
Thank you, Artie. Well done. This year's valedictorian is by definition an excellent student. He's also a student who loves to learn and has experienced that learning is the gateway to discovering the depths of self-awareness. He's also very humble. In fact, when I asked to see him after school one day a few weeks ago, he showed up in the doorway of my office looking actually scared to death. When he sat down, I paused, and then I congratulated him. And he looked confused, his eyes wide open, and said, "For what?" So when I told Luca he was a valedictorian, he was genuinely surprised by the look on his face, like what we look like when we learn or see something for the first time. Luca enjoys rock climbing. And when I was thinking about what his face looked like that afternoon in my office, when I told him what his role would be for this class, I began to see the relevance of rock climbing and how Luca perceives both challenge and opportunity. I've never been an official rock climber, but when I was a kid, I climbed many things, including the faces of buildings. One building that I enjoyed climbing was a nearby house that had been converted to office space for a local church. On weekends, I would often scale the rocks that made up a giant fireplace that would go up about 40 or 50 feet. When I climbed, you could never really take the time to look around at the view, especially when you didn't have any ropes on like I did. Instead, you had to be focused on the task at hand all the time. And that focus described Luca's approach to his learning, and I think also his surprised reaction to learning he was the valedictorian. The poet Cervantes once said that the journey is always more memorable than the end. And despite the honors of this award, I suspect Luca appreciates the journey even more than the award. He loves to learn and enjoys the challenge of learning. Over his 3 years here, he's taken 11 AP courses and 4 honors courses. He also pursued his senior independent study with distinction, which resulted in the creation of a robot tennis ball launcher, fitting for somebody considering studying aerospace engineering at Colorado University. In addition to his academic accomplishments, Luca has a tremendous sense of self-awareness and a big heart. He's also a very thoughtful speaker, as you're about to hear. It's my pleasure to introduce the valedictorian of the class of 2026, Luca Fugo.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor, for that amazing introduction. Already it's going to be pretty hard to follow you, man. But I believe that his speech is going to be a fantastic segue into what I'm about to touch on. So without further ado, Mr. Alstein, Mr. Taylor, members of the Board of Trustees, members of the faculty, parents and guests, and especially the class of 2026. What a privilege it is to stand in front of all of you today. It wasn't too long ago that I had the chance to share a chapel talk with a lot of familiar faces, but this feels so special in its own special way. To start, I want to thank all parents in the crowd for their unwavering support. Family, my friends, is the foundation that enables us to graduate collectively as one whole class, as one whole brotherhood. Thank your parents today. I recognize we were one step away from moving on to our undergraduate careers, whether that be somewhere in the States or internationally to Scotland and Australia for a select few. I acknowledge the magnitude of this shift, but since I'm taking this step alongside you all, I am left to question my credibility when extending advice on how to navigate these upcoming 4 years. Like you, I've yet to experience college, and even more so, the life that begins after TP. To be blunt, I used to boast to others about how I had my life figured out, but to no surprise, I was a kid most often found quietly unraveling. Alluding to my previous chapel talk, I was a kid sitting in his room with his feet up against the wall staring at the ceiling, trying desperately to figure life out when things wouldn't go to plan. Now, after all this work, all this time spent trying to sort my personal crises out, I can confidently say that I still don't have my life figured out, and I'm still far from getting any answers. In fact, if I were to have the answers, I would be on a beach right now sipping a pina colada, getting a massage under the sun with my mega yacht parked out in the water. That is not the case. The only difference between today and the past is that I would like to believe that not having the perfect plan is okay. Looking ahead, a little part of me is nervous, some excited, but most notably, I've been carrying around the sense of uncertainty since I made my initial deposit. For those who are familiar with who I am, you would know that uncertainty has been a big part of my life. For this reason, I've chosen to perceive life as a hallway filled with doors. Allow me to explain. Some doors are wide open, others are locked, but the most exciting ones are slightly ajar. You can't see what's behind them yet. Navigating uncertainty is choosing to open those doors, not knowing exactly what awaits, but trusting that beyond them is your next step forward. When I applied to TP, one of the few things I referenced during my admissions interview was the school's slogan and how fond I was of it. Reach your full potential and beyond. This became one of the few select mantras I carried throughout my time at TP, as it reflects the greater pursuit of growth beyond academia. I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't trust my faith enough to look ahead, even during times of uncertainty when my path wasn't clear-cut. Faith is your foundation, whether steeped in one's own religious practices, the pews in the chapel we congregate in, or a personal mantra you carry. For me, I chose God. When I transferred to TP mid-sophomore year, I encountered a lot of questions. Students wondered if I had received the boot from my previous school. I mean, If both my brother and I were to get removed from public school simultaneously, that would be pretty concerning. So I resonated with the other students' unease and I went on. Then some faculty began to ask why I chose TP, wondering if I had the opportunity to pursue an academic career elsewhere. I really struggled to blend in, and I avoided any opportunities to engage with the campus as a result. I feared being rejected while I was grappling with my uncertainty of whether or not I belonged. Looking in retrospect, the crowds I found myself engaging with in public school never made me necessarily feel as if I belonged. I just found comfort because I wasn't questioned. Transferring schools was a process of leaving what I was familiar with. Subjecting myself to a new school that questioned who I was left me angry and resentful. I began wondering why I advocated for boarding and whether a mid-year transfer was an accurate reflection of my character and standing. So I fell back on what I knew. I lived up to the expectations of being that kid whose mom had died. I tricked myself into believing that I was alone, but it was really my behaviors that had isolated me. I was stuck looking backwards. This strained my dynamics with others and interfered with my ability to celebrate those important people around me. After being questioned and forced to outgrow the persona I had used to fit in throughout my early years at public school, I am now departing from a home filled with beautiful people who have shaped who I am today. All because I decided to look forward. I stopped falling back on what I knew. Consistency chosen solely to avoid uncertainty is a full circle moment you never want to shake hands with. As counterintuitive as it sounds, the surest way to keep fear at bay is by actively charting onto new grounds. My friends, consistency will not keep you in a state of security. You are always in transition, like a wave lapping a beach. If you want to reach your full potential and beyond, you too must realize that growth belongs to those willing to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Embrace the suck. When uncertainty hits, the people around you, family, friends, mentors, offer profound support that can assist you when you step through those doors. Now is the time. Be relentless and fight for the opportunity to take the risk you've been thinking about while you have the overwhelming support at your disposal. No matter what happens at this point in your life, you can only fall so far when you're just starting from the foundation you have built. You can only go up from here. So I ask you, not knowing consciously what the future holds, are you going to step through the door where it's all planned out before you? Or take the leap of faith with the support and the resources you have? Younger me would have craved a sense of security. Now I realize that I will gain far more fulfillment by accepting the wager paired with uncertainty than I would by settling for the clear-cut path. Going to college next year, I'm scared. I question every night if it is worth attending undergraduate studies, whether investing in myself like this will enable me to find the peace I so often seek. I don't know, but I would rather go through this next door, questioning my choice, than to pass through consciously aware of the outcome ahead. This is an act of extending grace to yourself when the path ahead refuses to give you clarity, when the answers don't arrive on your timeline, and when the only thing you can rely on is your relentless faith. If you want to reach your full potential and beyond, question your decisions with your faith in mind, while else giving yourself the necessary grace to pass through your next door of uncertainty. Now, moving beyond ourselves, we get to this weird, wonderful thing we all do. We laugh. We laugh, and we laugh. People call it instinct, but to me, it's how we flip an uncomfortable situation into one of shared emotion. But navigating uncertainty isn't done by focusing on the future or the past, and one of the greatest instincts to be present is to simply laugh. Laughter is the gun of fear. Laughter is finding common ground, and it works best as a distraction from the chaos unfolding around you. After all, I would rather distract myself than stagnate as I would have elected to do before I came to TP. Laughter can be an act of forward motion for many. If you want to reach your full potential and beyond, laugh. Laugh the fear away when navigating times of uncertainty. I leave you with this. Know that you are unique. You are irreplaceable. There is something within you that cannot be replicated, taken away, or defined by anyone else. And when you move through life remembering that, the light can never go out. Like you, I finished one chapter and I'm moving on to the next. Like you, I'm stuck figuring out what that is. to not know is okay, but to stagnate in a state of angst is where we lose ourselves. So I ask you again, brothers, not knowing consciously what the future holds, are you going to step through that door where it is planned out before you, or take the leap of faith with the support and the resources you have? As we leave commencement today, maybe the goal is not to have all the answers. Maybe the goal is simply to take the last step forward together, even before we know where the road leads. Congratulations, class of 2026. Roll Pride.
Thank you, Luca. Great job. The Dunbar Award for Service is given each year to honor Bill and Helene Dunbar, who spent more than 30 years at Trinity-Pawling as assistant headmaster and librarian, respectively. Like the Dunbars, our recipient is a selfless and magnanimous member of the Trinity-Pawling community. This year's recipient invests significantly into his lifeblood, so that the lives of students and colleagues will be enriched. This is a person who in many ways discovered their own gifts and talents while at Trinity-Pawling. Over the past 22 years, this discovery has been accompanied with a growth in voice, self-actualization, and leadership. This is a person with a very high emotional intelligence, and like many great leaders, their leadership is grounded in empathy and a concern for others. While I only met Bill Dunbar once or twice when he returned to campus when he was in his 90s, I've heard countless stories about his impact here from so many alumni over the years. A through line that connects these narratives about Bill Dunbar is a description of his leadership and service to the school as being grounded in humility, endless energy, and quiet confidence that all combine to greet any challenge, regardless of the magnitude. And this through line connects to this year's recipient of the Dunbar Award for Service. Indeed, this year has been a challenging one in many ways for our recipient as he stepped into a new leadership role on campus. Yet he approached the challenges of change with a quiet determination that day by day strengthened his confidence, his voice, his leadership, and his impact on the community. It's my pleasure to present this year's Dunbar Award for Service to the school community, to a member of the class of 2005, Chris Gilman. We'd now like to recognize those members of the class of 2026 who have distinguished themselves by their academic achievements in various disciplines. The Award for Excellence in Art is given to Shun Fuji. The Award for Excellence in Biology is given to Luca Fugo. The Elliott Prize in Senior Mathematics is given to Dom Zaney. The Award for Excellence in Environmental Science is given to Corey Van Etten. The Ernest J. Ryder Award for Physical Science is given to Dom Zaney. The award for excellence in history is given to Axel Caramico. For his thorough and impressive work in the service of others and in the memory of his brother Matt, the excellence in the Senior Independent Project is given to Dom Zaney. The Henderson Prize for Excellence in English is awarded to Jameson Fogelsong. The award for excellence in instrumental music is given to Carl Liu. The Norwood L. Pinder Prize in Journalism is given to Kai Wilson. The award for excellence in religion is given to Axel Caramico. The award for excellence in Spanish is given to Nick Hirsch. The Tennant Drama Award is presented to Jake Wickstead. The prize to the senior honor student with a GPA of 101.08 is Luca Fugo. The Kevin Neal Akrish Award is given annually to the junior prefect in honor of the life and legacy of Kevin Akrish, class of 1990. I knew Kevin because he was a player on my tennis team the first year he was a student at Trinity-Pawling, the year he was elected junior prefect, and the year he died. Qualities his classmates saw in him included a strong sense of self-awareness, determination, and humility. These qualities are also found in our current junior prefect. Like Kevin, Axel has grown remarkably self-aware during his years at Trinity-Pawling. Kevin came to TP because he was experiencing anti-Semitism at his public high school. During his first and only year at Trinity-Pawling, Kevin wrote in the school newspaper that he found community and acceptance for being Jewish in an Episcopal school. Like Kevin, Axel thinks deeply about things and is also comfortable with his footing on a foundation of faith. He also lives it out in his life and is comfortable sharing his faith through his actions and his caring disposition. He founded the Bible Study Club and is a leader in the life of All Saints Chapel. His empathy is just a normal part of who he is. Yet he's also a tenacious competitor that belies his taciturn and cerebral demeanor. It's beyond remarkable to me that almost every year the junior prefect so clearly reflects the character of the namesake of this award. Accordingly, it gives me great personal and professional pleasure to present the Kevin Neal Akrish Award to Axel Caramico. The Elizabeth Peel Allen Award for Community Service honors Elizabeth Peel Allen, a lifelong Pawling resident and board member of Trinity-Pawling School. She has served the Pawling community, the Trinity-Pawling community, and the greater New York State and national communities. She believes deeply and strongly that each of us has the privilege of giving our gifts and talents to improve something outside of ourselves. This year's recipient, although living some 6 hours away from Pawling, New York, has been a key volunteer in the Pawling community amongst other service projects. He's often the first person to sign up for a service event. When his schedule doesn't allow him to participate, he's also one of the first person to contact Father Lennox to apologize for not being able to help. As a member of the National Honor Society, he takes the organization's charge for service seriously. He's been a frequent volunteer at the Pawling Resource Center, including helping with their annual walkathon fundraiser. He has volunteered at the local library by helping to unbox books for their annual book sale. He's also helped with the midnight run trips by sorting clothes at Christ Church on Quaker Hill. He chose to organize and successfully lead a fabulous service project to raise money in support of wounded veterans through the dedication of a varsity hockey game, facilitating the team with special jerseys that honored veterans. In his sense of poetic victory, he was the winning goalie in that game against Lawrenceville. There's no way that this recipient would know that so much of his service work at Trinity-Pawling has impacted organization and causes that have been near and dear to the heart of the award's namesake. It's my pleasure to present this year's Elizabeth Peel Allen Award for Service to Nolan Watts. The Eugene Colley Award for Leadership is given in honor of Gene Colley, past parent, former trustee, and stalwart supporter of the school. The award recognizes a leader who does not seek leadership for the spotlight or for the seeming rewards that can come with it. Rather, it recognizes someone who chooses to lead behind the scenes, someone who steps in when others do not in order to make a difference. This year's recipient has been a steady leader at Trinity-Pawling, particularly in his senior year. A key aspect of his leadership has been evident just about every week during the school year. Indeed, he and his fellow writers on the Phoenix have taken this publication to a higher level of consistency and thoughtfulness. Like all good leaders, he's not afraid to go back and work to make things better when there are opportunities to do so. When he decided that he no longer wanted to play hockey, he felt strongly that he wanted to continue to contribute to team sports on some level, and was a thoroughly dedicated member of the JV basketball team. When his classmate and good friend ran the marathon on the track to raise money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, he ran with him as a source of support. But he eschewed any accolades or recognition, instead redirecting them back and to the focus and determination of Dom. Indeed, Mr. Colley would be proud of this young man, for he too never liked to be recognized for his incredible leadership. It's my pleasure to present this year's Colley Award for Leadership to Kai Wilson. The Creighton Gatchell Jr. Sportsmanship Award Donated in memory of Creighton, class of 1961, by his brother Bill, a member of the class of 1963, is given to a member of the senior class who best exemplifies Creighton's love for sports and his level of sportsmanship. This year's recipient has earned 9 varsity letters during his 3 years at Trinity-Pawling. In an age of sports specialization, he could have fixed his sights solely on one of these sports, but he probably would not have been as strong of a basketball player had he done so. Instead, he was an integral member of the varsity cross country and track teams. He won the Miles Hubbard Most Valuable Player Award for his leadership and commitment to the basketball program. Fittingly, like the award's namesake, he always put the team first, regardless of the sport. He also won the James K. McDougall Award as the most valuable player on the track and field team. He's thoroughly committed to the ideals of sportsmanship. Through the grueling nature of cross country or the challenges of a tough basketball season, he forged onward with a determination and fortitude. I've never seen him sulk, challenge a call by a referee, or even smirk at a call or a situation where things may not have gone the way he would have liked. His character and selflessness are infectious to those around him, and he likely does not even realize the impact he has made on the younger players who have been on his teams. It's my pleasure to present the Creighton E. Gatchell Jr. Sportsmanship Award to Mikey Malachi. The Head of Schools Award for Excellence is given to a member of the community who's made a difference in distinctive ways. This year's recipient is a postgraduate who was attracted to Trinity-Pawling in part for the extra year of football. Amidst a challenging season, his positive attitude, leadership, and outstanding play stood out. At the conclusion of the season, he was awarded the David N. Karate Award as the most valuable player. Still, he could have left after the season to begin his training for the season ahead at Marist. Instead, he chose to stay and engage in the full Trinity-Pawling experience. He's been an excellent citizen throughout the school year and has established solid friendships across all levels. Academically, he's worked hard and has achieved at a high level. After the football season ended, he chose to be the manager for the varsity basketball team and has been a key contributor to the track team this spring. Throughout the year, he's been an excellent citizen and has developed friendships with students across all grade levels. It's my pleasure to present this year's Head of School Award for Excellence to Stephen Jones. The McGregor Robinson Award for Mentorship honors the life and legacy of McGregor Robinson, longtime Director of Admissions at Trinity-Pawling. McGregor freely shared his gift of mentorship and friendships with many students whose experience at Trinity-Pawling was enriched and transformed as a result. Qualities that define McGregor's gift of mentorship included kindness, empathy, thoughtfulness, and mutuality. This award honors a student whose engagement with others at Trinity-Pawling reflects the types of interpersonal strengths and qualities that made McGregor a gifted mentor. This is a new award that was just commissioned this year as part of the school's initiative to strengthen the foundation of mentorship that is a critical component in the promotion of self-awareness, confidence, and leadership of others. This year's inaugural recipient has been a quiet force on this campus for the past 3 years. He is a leader and is respected throughout the school community. What stands out about his leadership and his citizenship, however, is how much it is focused on helping others grow. He's a role model for many younger students who value his guidance and his wisdom. even amidst challenges that could create cynicism and negativity in some. He always seeks to try to invest in the highest ideals of the school's values and the potential of its community to help others learn and grow. A mentor is that person who can see the strengths in others, and I would add, strengths in the school community, even when those people or parts of that community may not be able to see those strengths as clearly. We have seen this type of mentorship from this student grow and evolve over the past 3 years with such clarity that he became the obvious choice for this recognition. It's my pleasure to present the first McGregor Robinson Award for Mentorship to Bowen Hugh. The Wells Award, named for its donor, a member of the class of 1938, is presented annually to the student who combines outstanding performance and growth in all areas of life at Trinity-Pawling. Character, a concern for and service to others, loyalty and dedication to the established traditions of the school are among the criteria for determining the award. This year's recipient is a young man who has grown in immeasurable ways during his 5 years here. During this span of time, he emerged from a shy, taciturn, and committedly reluctant student to a campus leader across a wide variety of endeavors. This transformation has occurred over time and has been so complete as to make it very difficult to remember the young man who arrived on this campus in September of 2021 as an 8th grader. He's a young man who has found places of distinction and leadership across all areas of school life. Academically, he found his stride and his confidence and is ending his senior year with a 91 average. Athletically, he has become a key member of the farming, wrestling, and track programs. He has shined brightly in the artistic life of the school, acting in plays, and most recently writing and performing in one. Behind the scenes in the theater, he has been an undeniable and unparalleled force that has propelled the arts program forward. He took it upon himself to learn everything he could about the sound and lighting system of Gardner Theater, a passion that actually led him to Broadway for his senior independent project. The yearbook that was dedicated and distributed Thursday night would not have happened without him, as he was the sole member of the class before he recruited others to help. In addition to all these accolades and accomplishments, he's simply a tremendous citizen. For all that he's done to strengthen the special fabric of this school, it's my pleasure to present the Wells Award for Special Merit to Jake Wickstead. The Kenneth B. Weeman Athletic Award is given by his widow and sons, members of the classes of 1959 and 1963, and his grandson, a member of the class of 1991. The award recognizes an individual's sportsmanship, demonstrated leadership, personal commitment to the athletic program, and to the traditions of the school. These were the qualities embodied in Kenneth B. Weeman, class of 1929. This year's recipient has earned 13 varsity letters over the course of his Trinity-Pawling career, spread across soccer, wrestling, and track. He was the captain of the varsity soccer and varsity wrestling teams. He was the Dunham Award winner for Most Valuable Player on the wrestling team, the Reed Award winner for being the Most Valuable Player on the soccer team, and won the Coaches Award for track and field. In all of his athletic pursuits, he has displayed the highest level of sportsmanship and teammanship. It's my pleasure to present this year's Weeman Athletic Award to Axel Caramico. The Senior Citizenship Prize is awarded by vote of the faculty to the young man who is committed to the life and growth of the school. Each year, before we as the faculty discuss the qualities that should define the winners of our citizenship awards, I remind us all that this is not the nice kid award. Sadly, I think that too often this is how we as a society and schools specifically, tend to define citizenship. As our Citizenship Institute teaches, citizenship is so much more than just being a nice person. Rather, citizenship is about deliberate, conscientious work to improve the communities in which we live. This year's Senior Citizenship Award recipient does this each and every day through his acts of kindness, service, leadership, and compassion. His leadership is defined by his service to others and to the school. A younger student spoke of this individual by saying that he helped him realize the strength of this community and the school by caring about him, speaking with him on a regular basis, and building his confidence to try new things and ask for help when he needed it. As a result, this younger student began to feel a sense of belonging here. When I see this younger student, I see the impact of this senior's belief in him. While this senior is a good person, he's so much more than that. He's an exemplary citizen. It's my pleasure to present this year's Senior Citizenship Prize to Arthur Figueredo. The Gamage Award, named for Frederick Luther Gamage, the founder and first headmaster of the Pawling School, is awarded by vote of the faculty to a senior whose overall record is one of general excellence. This year's winner excels as a scholar, athlete, and citizen. During his Trinity-Pawling career, he has taken 6 advanced placement and multiple honors courses. His 2-year weighted GPA is over 100. He has been a standout leader on varsity soccer and varsity track during the course of his time at Trinity-Pawling. He's also a prefect, exerting quiet but inexorable energy in all that he does. He's also a caring soul. He was deeply influenced by Matt Dooley's courageous spirit during Matt's battle with cancer. So when it came time to choose a senior independent project, he chose to honor Matt by raising money for St. Jude's, by running a marathon on the track, which required training in the winter, by running on a treadmill for miles and miles every day. But this type of self-discipline, determination, and perseverance helps compel Dom towards excellence in all that he has done at Trinity-Pawling. It's my pleasure to present this year's Gamage Award for General Excellence to Dom Zaney. I'd like to introduce our second musical performance, No Party at TP.
All right. Thank you, Miss Taylor. All right, here's No Party at TP. All right, stay with me. When I say no party at, You guys say TP. No party on. No party on. No party on. Alright, there's some technical issue, but we solve it. Let's do it again. No party yet! No party yet! No party yet!教室围的城堡，随着稻向河流继续奔跑，微微笑，小时候的梦我知道，就不要哭，让萤火虫在这里逃跑，上天的歌谣，远的依靠，回家吧，回到最初的美好，就不要哭，让萤火虫在这里逃跑，上天的歌谣，远的依靠，回家吧，回到最初的美好。I wonder why, I wonder how. Yesterday you told me about the blue sky and all that I can see, just like a lemon tree. I'm turning my head up and down, I'm turning turning, turn around and all that I can see, just like a lemon tree. Take me home to the place where I belong. Calling New York, Mountain Mama, take me home, TP Road. No party yet! No party yet! Country roads and to the place where I No party yet! Thank you!
Thank you guys. Edward Slade Mead has served Trinity-Pawling as the Director of College Guidance since 2009, with a brief interlude as the Associate Head for External Engagement that was interrupted by COVID in 2021. Since his arrival at Trinity-Pawling, he's had a tremendous impact on the lives of students and the life of the school. In my 38 years in independent school education, I've worked with many talented college guidance directors. I would have to say, however, that while all of them brought many gifts to their positions, none have been as dynamic and creative as Slade. For the past 11 years, Slade's office has often been across the hall from mine, so I've had the good pleasure of hearing him work with seniors. His energy and inquisitiveness are gifts that the students have no idea they are receiving, but they combine with his creativity to guide juniors and seniors to a deeper understanding of their own gifts and talents. With this guidance, he begins to provide suggestions of colleges and universities that would be good matches. If I'm being honest, most college guidance directors don't guide. Most facilitate. Slade Mead is a true guide in this process and opens doors of understanding and in many cases opportunities for Trinity-Pawling students that they may not have had otherwise. I first met Slade and his dog Gracie when Jennifer and I were here visiting Trinity-Pawling one summer on our way to Maine from our home in Tennessee. It was a cursory meeting that I'm sure he doesn't remember. I remember it though because of his energy and his friendliness to a stranger sitting in the lobby. My next meeting with Slade was over breakfast at the Putnam Diner down the road when I was interviewing for the position of headmaster. We were talking about ways that schools in general could do more creatively to provide students with distinctive opportunities to showcase their gifts and talents as part of the college process. After I was hired, that discussion became the genesis of the Senior Independent Project that began in beta format with the class of 2016 before it became a graduation requirement in 2017. Now known as the Practicum, a series of project-based learning experiences designed to foster self-awareness, critical thinking, communication, and creativity. These learning experiences have become signature programs at the school. It's been through Slade Mead's leadership, though, that the Practicum has become so instrumental in the college guidance process. He added the Practicum to the transcript, which put many of the distinctive student work projects front and center. He's also been instrumental in taking the secondary school reports to a higher level. These school recommendations for each senior are works of art in how they create narratives that vividly describe each student through their strengths. While he doesn't write all of them, he has overseen this process, and I know that they have had a tremendous impact on how Trinity-Pawling students are distinguished in this process. We speak often at Trinity-Pawling about the importance of being student-centered in our approach to education. Slade Mead has embodied that commitment for the past 17 years. Members of the class of 2026, parents, faculty, and guests, it's my pleasure and honor to be able to present a Head of School Award for Excellence as I introduce to you our commencement seeker for the class of 2026, Mr. Edward Slade Mead.
Boy, it's really hot up here, so it's nice to get under the tent. Whew, it's sweating away. That's great. Well, how about this? Well, to the frozen families, I'm going to use a little alliteration while I might have, got the temperature working for me. The frozen families, the frozen faculty, the fantastic trustees, friends, and the fabulous class of 2026. Good afternoon. I have to admit, finding a topic for this commencement address was harder than I expected. My first instinct was to recycle my mentor speech from last year's Blue and Gold dinner. It was a pretty polished speech. It was heartfelt. It felt good. But there's a problem, and that's a lot of the members of the class of 2025 have come today to see this graduation, and they would call me out for plagiarism if I were to just use my old speech, which is an interesting thought, because are you plagiarizing if you're using your own speech? I don't know. But I went to my second option, which was my reliable, I could have gone to my Teddy Roosevelt Man in the Arena speech. But a few weeks ago, Father Lennox asked me to give a chapel talk. And I was kind of lazy. I used my Teddy speech. And I know if I'd done that again, Father Lennox would send out his little theologian henchman and spoon assassin, Axel. You guys got the wrong image of this guy. Axel would come and delivered swift justice and painful payback for repeating myself. And I gotta tell you, fear of Axel's wrath pretty much deep sixed the Teddy talk. So I, as all said, I was going to dust off one of my favorite chapel talks from a few years ago, which is the importance of handwritten thank you notes. It's a classic. It's a really good chapel talk. Unfortunately, Brian Foster used it last year. And he's here. So I saw Brian in the hallway, and he said hello, and he said, don't use the thank you note speech. I have a warrant of an intellectual property lawsuit if you go down that road. So things are getting kind of desperate here. But Mr. Foster did come up with a great suggestion. He said, hey, have everybody take out their cell phone and watch Eric Church's address to the UNC grads last Thursday. It's really good. It'll be much better than yours, Slade. So thank you for the vote of confidence. That was great. The only problem is, Brian, since you left, we've outlawed cell phones on campus. Thanks, Bill. So I'm stuck. What on earth do you speak about? And then, to quote a great American philosopher, someone who Doc and I just adore, the great Arlo Guthrie, it come to me like a flash, like a vision burnt across the clouds. Pivot. It's time to pivot. Of course, pivoting. It may be the most single important skill you ever develop. The ability to pivot, to reinvent yourself, to change direction, to begin anew. Because despite what high school and college admissions sometimes suggest, your life will not be a straight line. It will not be a perfectly organized resume. It will be a series of pivots. Now, I know this sounds slightly odd, and you could even say hypocritical, because I'm someone who has spent the last 18 years helping students build their resumes. For nearly 2 decades, my professional life has revolved around helping young people convince colleges they are extraordinary human beings using the Common App, which basically is a glorified resume. I've been complicit in polishing up some GPAs. I've spent hours debating where to put the right commas in the essays. I've read such excitingly mundane sentences as I played JV tennis for 4 years into dynamic, I am a dedicated 4-year athlete committed to exhibiting leadership through singles play and collaborative action through my doubles play. That's good, that's good. The schools will like that. But somewhere along the line, students begin to believe that life itself is just one long resume. Nope, but hopefully, as you grow older, you'll realize something important. I'm looking at Savage. The best parts of your life are usually the parts you never planned for. If you had to ask me at your age what my resume would eventually look like, I would have been completely wrong. After college, I taught history for a year at the Taft School. Then I pivoted, and I went to law school. Then I graduated and realized I had absolutely no idea what kind of law I wanted to practice, which, by the way, is far more common among adults than we kind of let on. So I pivoted again. I started representing professional athletes. I started a baseball representation firm. I then pivoted when I had the opportunity to represent a young tennis player named Andy Roddick, before he eventually rose to the #1 ranked player in the world. Meanwhile, Allison, my wife, my partner, and I were we were navigating another pivot entirely in raising our 2 girls, including advocating for our daughter, Lindsay, who has special needs. Lindsay pulled me towards education and public service. I ran for the school board in Arizona, and I won. Then I got into an argument with my state senator over funding for special ed. So naturally, I ran against her. I won. Suddenly, I'm serving in the Arizona Senate, advocating for education, teacher pay raises, full-day kindergarten, and eventually even helping pass Lindsay's law for special needs students. I loved my work. I thought my life was unfolding exactly according to plan in politics. I was ambitious. But then life pivoted again. I lost re-election to the Senate in a brutal primary. Later, I ran for superintendent of public instruction for the state of Arizona, which essentially you run the public schools, and I lost again. And honestly, I was devastated. Bohan, you won an award today from a very special man, McGregor Robinson. I received a phone call from McGregor. He was here at Trinity-Pawling at the time, running the admissions office. He called me and he told me there was an opening for a new director of college placement. Now, I'd never done anything remotely connected to college placement. Nothing. So I flew east and interviewed with the head of school, Arch Smith, and a week later, Arch called me in Phoenix and offered the head nursing job to my wife and the job of director of college placement. And we both accepted the jobs, and like some reverse Beverly Hillbillies, Allison and I packed everything up and moved east. And the plan was simple. We thought Trinity-Pawling would be just a temporary stop, maybe 5 years, max 6. Well, then life pivoted on us again. First, Allison, who's an extraordinary human being, went back to school, became a nurse practitioner, and today she does amazing, important work overseeing medical services for hospice in both Dutchess and Ulster counties. Second, I fell in love with college counseling. What I really thought was a temporary stop became a life. And looking back now, one of the greatest blessings of my life may have been the thing I once considered one of my greatest failures. Had I won those elections, I never would have come here. I never would have worked with more than 1,000 seniors as they search for their next adventure. I never would have discovered how much I love mentoring students and families. I never would have taken students to the Franklin D. Roosevelt Presidential Library, Museum, and Home. I never would have taken the junior class to the UN every year, nor would I have taken groups of young men to discover South Africa. I never would have become part of an extraordinary community with really extraordinary colleagues. That's why I'm standing here today and I'm asking a favor. Do not panic if your life does not unfold in a straight line, because resumes are linear. Life is not. Life twists. Life surprises. Life humbles you. But life also redirects you. And sometimes the moments that feel like endings are actually beginnings in disguise. Now, Trinity-Pawling, since I've been here, has always believed in transformation. The school understands that young men are works in progress, not finished products. So when life pivots you, and gentlemen, it will, do not automatically assume something has gone wrong. Sometimes the detour becomes the destination. Sometimes the life you never planned becomes the life you live. And sometimes the pivot becomes the path. Members of the class of 2026, it's been a privilege to work with you, and congratulations on your graduation. Thank you.
Parents, guests, and faculty, we now have the honor and distinction of conferring diplomas to the class of 2026. I want to invite Mr. Eric Olstein, class of 1986 and President of the Board of Trustees, to join me in this honor.
Maxwell Charles Barrett. Tanner Braden, in absentia, summa cum laude. Mason Brady. Julio Javier Bueso Lancheros, cum laude. Alexander Wesley Caramico. Alejandro Chavez with distinction. Frank Chen, cum laude. James Colburn. Alex Marcel Cruz. Chase Pasquale Di Filippo. Anthony Joseph Del Carmine with distinction. Ryan Dickman with distinction. Owen David Acimont. Arthur Rodriguez Figueredo. Jameson Riley Fogelsong. Dimitri Fournier. David Alexander Fridman. Luca A. Fugo with distinction, summa cum laude. Go there. Shun Fuji. Alexander Jameson Gersten. Everett Peter Hand. Carson Hirsch. Nicholas Robert Hirsch, cum laude. Yidong Bowen Hu with distinction. Owen Ray Iannucci. Cole Jennings. Stephen L. Jones. Liam Joseph Joyce. Junsu Kim. Christian Konechny in absentia. Youngjun Kwok. Chase Matthew Laramie. Cole Quick Lilly. Zhangyi Carl Luo with distinction, cum laude. Jehong Michael Ma. Michael John Malachi. Zachary Marching. Michael Cormac McKenna, Jr. Avi Jin Meltzer with distinction. Andrew Christopher Migliori. Ronan Gennaro Mitchell. John Burden Noland III. John Matthew Pierre. Thiago Pilan. Simon Planava. Anderson Lars Reed. Jojo Wren. Chase Michael Rose. Solomon Michael Rossi with distinction, magna cum laude. Luke Joseph Savage. Michael Stephen Lewis Savage. Corey Van Etten, magna cum laude. Sasha Vasquez Vidor with distinction. Rocco Francesco Venezia. Nolan James Watts, cum laude. Peter Henry Winkowski. Kai William Wilson. James D. Wickstead. Rider James Key Yoon. Dominic Zanni with distinction, magna cum laude.
Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2026. I'd like us all to stand and join the Trinitones as they lead the school in the singing of the alma mater, the words to which are found on the back of your program.
Let us pray. O thou who art the God no less of those who know thee not than of those who love thee well, be present with us at the times of choosing, when time stands still and all that lies behind and all that lies ahead are caught up in the mystery of a moment. Be present especially with the young who must choose between many voices. Help them to know how much an old world needs their youth and gladness. Help them to know that there are words of truth and healing that will never be spoken unless they speak them, and deeds of compassion and courage that will never be done unless they do them. Help them never to mistake success for victory or failure for defeat. Grant that they may never entirely be content with whatever bounty the world may bestow upon them, but that they may know at least that they were created not for happiness, but for joy. And that joy is to them alone who sometimes, with tears in their eyes, commit themselves in love to thee and to others. Lead them and all the world ever deeper into the knowledge that there can never really be joy for any until there is joy for all. In Christ's name we ask it, and for his sake, amen.